Hello, honey roses. Welcome to my channel. I am Mystic Alchemy. This is Milk Honey Rose. So I just got a download. It's basically about someone realizing that they had deemed you unworthy. They deemed you unworthy before they recognized your value, or before they cared to recognize your value. Okay, that's the download that I'm getting. It feels like someone had hidden motives, and their hidden motives didn't allow them to see the truth about you or even care to see it, because their intentions were not pure from the beginning. So they really didn't understand you. They didn't want to. They didn't care to. And that's the problem. This is what caused the relationship to shatter the way it did. Because you were being kind. You were coming from a place of love and purity. And the other person was just coming from a place of hitting a target. I'm getting hitting a target, like you were their target in some way. This might be something this person does on repeat, is what I'm getting. Like this is a pattern for this person. This is their way that they have chosen to take on. And for them, it works for them because they get what they want. Okay? So they deemed you as unworthy. So it's very likely that this person, whoever this is, made you feel like you were not enough, like you were unworthy. They made you feel like you were less than. When in all actuality, you were the one that was able to give more than they could to them. But they would never make it appear that way. They would never be... It's almost like this person just was never satisfied. No matter how much effort and work you put in for this person, or how much energy you put towards this person, whoever this is was still never satisfied. And it feels like you may have been put into this predicament where you felt like you had to keep on giving for whatever reason. Maybe just because you want to be the best that you can be. So you may have gauged the response of your loved one or whoever this person is to you as a gauge to know if you're doing the right thing. However, this person wants, they had a desire to want to make you feel that way, because then you would keep, I guess, going extra hard. It was like no appreciation is how it feels. Like this person didn't give you the actual appreciation that you deserved. And it feels like you got tired after a while. But it did take some time for you to get tired. I feel like this energy feels like you were trying. And the issue with it is that you were trying, but the other person was not. Once you realized that you were the only one that was putting most effort towards the situation, is when you decided that it wasn't right. You recognized it wasn't right. When you recognized it wasn't right, your attitude changed towards this person. When your attitude changed, they realized it, so they started to scratch for your attention and trying to ask questions and see what they could do to catch a grasp, a hold of you again, because they realized that they lost their grip on you. That's what I'm getting. Like they lost their grip on you. You were slipping away. They started to feel you slipping away, and then they went into panic mode. And then they decided to realize how much you actually did for them. But at that point, it was way too late. Way too late. The ship has come and gone. It's crazy how situations get to that point where they should have known better, you would think. But those who are so emotionally disconnected and out of touch, oh my gosh, you can't expect much from them because they don't have enough depth to really connect to you in such a way that you need to be connected to feel fulfilled. Around people like this, you would feel empty and drained, and you would, no matter how much you have around you, you would feel like you're in lack emotionally. And that's one of the worst ways to feel, I think. To feel like you are in lack emotionally when someone is right there next to you and you still feel like you cannot communicate with them. And even if you try, it still doesn't work because they're not receptive. You barely know if they actually heard what you said. And you just feel the disconnect. It's not hard to tell, and it makes you shut down. It gets to the point where it's like, you know what, I'm just not going to talk to you about this because clearly you're unable to receive what I'm delivering. So this person has many regrets. I heard because the gravy train stopped. So you could have been giving them money, or it just could have been some type of benefit. I feel like it's a benefit. If it's not money, it's something that you were giving to this person. However, when you realize that they didn't appreciate it, and that you may also have realized that once they noticed that they didn't have a grip on you anymore, then they were trying to play nice and change up their way of communicating and expressing oneself, or expressing their self, I should say. But then at that point, you knew it was fake. That's a turnoff because you was just being fake. Like you can't even accept it at that point because it's not real. It would it's anyone who can see and who is perceptive will know that, you're just not being genuine with me. You trying to be all nice now because you want to get me back where you had me before. But that's not okay. And I'm not going to allow you to take that position because you don't deserve it. You don't even know what to do with it. You know how many people in the world have positions that they don't know what to do with, and they abuse the position and they misuse it, or they just do a horrible job. They don't even try to bring forth anything that is of substance that can actually do a thing. They're just like a parasite. They're like a parasite using people as hosts to siphon from. And they'll siphon anything that they can get. It doesn't have to be anything specific, but they will siphon as much as possible for as long as possible. And the sad part about it is that they will make a big deal out of it to make it seem like they care so much. But you're just somebody on their list, for those who have gone through this. You just become someone on their list because they're so weak at heart and within the mind that they'll just move on to another person and do the same thing. They just put on this big show because they don't want to have to go through the whole application process. because then they have to apply all of that extra, what I want to say, wit and personality. It's like extra work. It's extra work. At least for this type of person, because they have to put up a front. They can't be real. So it takes you got to put a lot of work in to be fake. Because you got to keep up with the lies and with the facade. So it's like they'll try their best to keep you around so they don't have to go through that all over again and have someone trust them all over again. It would be so much easier if they could just stay with you, get what they want, and then even get what they want from others on the side when you're not paying attention, or when you're too busy, or when you're not looking. The thing is that for this person, there were times when you were the main one, like the main one that they would siphon from. But now that you know better, that's not going to happen to you anymore. Because you know what that is now. You understand it. You know how people could be. And you learned the lesson. And this is what this person did not want you to do. So the longer you stay with this person, the longer you'll be repeating the class. You'll get left back. This is the type of person that you end up delaying your blessings being with, because they're not there to help you. They're actually there to delay you or stop you completely. So yeah, for those who this message resonates with, that person was just a lesson. And it's not really for you to regret, because the experiences are needed in your life for you to grow. You have to have experiences to truly grow and know on your own. Like, even for me, I wrote all of my books that you see attached to this video and attached to most of my videos. In all of those books, I didn't read another book to write the book. Those books that I've written are from my own observation, through my own experiences. And just as I wrote those books from my own experiences, my own interpretation, and my own understanding, you can write books just the same. So if any of you have had ideas to write books, drop it down below and express yourself. Have you ever thought about writing a book and then you didn't write it because you thought something? You just have to put a disclaimer in the beginning of the book to state that you didn't get the information from anywhere else, really. It's from what you've learned on your own. From your own understanding, what you've learned from your experiences. So yeah, that's basically it for this message. It's really about, excuse me, it's really about having or experiencing growth in situations or relationships that become tumultuous in your life, and it could feel very confusing. It's very misleading as well. But just look at it as a lesson and not a loss. Everything in life should be looked at as a lesson. Most things. Everything. I think everything could be looked at as a lesson. Because when you start looking at life in such a way, it makes it easier for you to live because you understand it. The more you get stuck in that victim mentality and you keep on asking why instead of creating the why, making sense of it for yourself, then you will suffer and you will stay in that place for an extended period of time, and maybe for the rest of your days, because that's what happens to some people. They get stuck in heartache and pain when, if they had a thought to allow themselves to move away from that way of thinking and recognize that it's a lesson and give it a purpose and a meaning, it makes it easier to walk away from it, to move on to the next phase. So don't be the one that gets stuck in negative thinking and self-doubt because of the way someone treated you in the past. They were just a lesson. And it's about learning the lesson and moving on and living. So don't forget to live. Don't forget to love. Not only others, but yourself. Because when you love yourself, you love life. You love others. And that's the right way. And it just feels good. So why not do what feels good, right? Right. Okay, so everything you do, do it with love. If you would like to purchase anything from me, you can look at the store that's attached to this video. And you can also go to www.milkhoneyRose.org, okay, for anything else. And yeah, that's it for this message. And you have a wonderful rest of the day.